Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered if a simple 2 pence coin could be worth a small fortune? Could the coins from 1994 or 1995 hold secrets that most collectors overlook? What makes the 1999 and 2001 issues stand out from the rest? And are the 2006 and 2007 pieces just ordinary change or hidden treasures waiting to be discovered? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you might never look at a British 2 pence coin the same way again. As Britain moved through the 1990s, the 2 pence coin continued to be a silent witness to everyday life, from market counters to train stations, from children's piggy banks to collectors' trays. Each coin that entered circulation carried a trace of the nation's evolving identity, minted not just in metal, but in memory. The 1994 issue holds a special place in that timeline. It emerged during a period of quiet stability, when the Royal Mint maintained the same familiar design that had already become an icon of British coinage. There were no grand changes, no redesigns, only the quiet continuation of a tradition that had endured for decades. On one side, the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II remained the face of continuity. The design used during this era captured the Queen with an air of grace and dignity, her expression calm, poised, and timeless. The detailing reflected not only her regal presence, but also the skill of the engraver who gave life to every subtle curve and shadow. Around her image lay the traditional Latin inscription that had graced British coins for generations, a testament to both royal authority and the divine trust placed in the crown. For those who understood its meaning, it was more than mere decoration. It was a message of continuity stretching back through centuries of monarchy. The reverse side displayed a motif equally rich in symbolism: the badge of the Prince of Wales, featuring 3 feathers rising from a coronet, tied with a ribbon that bore the words Dien, meaning "I serve." It stood as a reminder of loyalty, duty, and the connection between royal lineage and national spirit. By the mid-1990s, the 2 pence coin was already more than 2 decades old in Britain's decimal system. Originally introduced in 1971, it had seen the transition from bronze to copper-plated steel, a change that gave the coin its distinct reddish shine and improved durability. The 1994 pieces carried this newer composition, making them stronger and brighter, built to last for decades of circulation. Each coin that left the Royal Mint in that year carried with it the craftsmanship of modern minting: precise strikes, polished surfaces, and clear detailing that reflected light beautifully. To the casual observer, it was just another coin. To the numismatist, however, it was a continuation of an era that defined everyday British currency. Although millions of these coins were produced, collectors still examined them carefully, searching for subtle imperfections or unique minting variations. A slightly off-center strike, a faint die crack, or a rare tonal variation can elevate an ordinary coin into a collectible piece of history. The 1994 2 pence is not rare in the traditional sense, but its beauty lies in consistency: the precision of the minting, the enduring design, and the quiet pride it represents. Every coin is a fragment of a much larger story, a reminder that even common currency can become a symbol of national identity. For those who study coins, each year of minting brings a new chapter. And in 1994, that chapter was one of preservation, of holding true to a design that had already become timeless. The coin's unchanging appearance reflected the stability of a nation that valued its history even in the smallest details. As decades passed, many of these coins faded, scratched, or dulled with age, yet their story remained intact. They continue to circulate today, a tangible link to Britain's past and a quiet tribute to its craftsmanship. Each time one of these coins passes through your hand, you are touching a piece of history, not just a token of value, but a witness to time itself. The 1994 British 2 pence is a simple coin with a grand legacy, an enduring emblem of British tradition, unchanged and unforgotten. And as we move forward to the next year in its journey, the 1995 issue continues that same proud legacy, carrying the same heart, the same story, and the same quiet strength, yet with its own subtle place in the passage of time. Throughout 1995, these coins moved through everyday life with quiet purpose. They exchanged hands at corner shops, clinked in train station ticket machines, and settled into countless drawers and wallets across the country. Each one bore the weight of ordinary days, and yet, within that ordinariness, something extraordinary endured. It was the presence of history living in the smallest act of exchange. The face of Queen Elizabeth II continued to grace the obverse side, a portrait that by this time had become deeply embedded in public consciousness. It wasn't just the Queen's image. It was the idea of stability, of a monarch whose reign witnessed changing decades while her presence remained constant. The craftsmanship of this likeness captured the fine balance between royal dignity and human grace, giving the coin its quiet authority. In the world of numismatics, collectors often look at such years as bridges, not rare, but deeply significant. The 1995 issue sits between transitional phases of British coinage, representing a time before later design shifts would appear. It holds its own identity as part of that unbroken chain, linking the early decimal years to the modern age. The Royal Mint's precision in 1995 was as meticulous as ever. Every strike, every edge, and every curve reflected decades of perfection refined through skill and tradition. The consistency in minting was remarkable, a reflection of how far coin production had evolved since the introduction of the decimal system in 1971. Many people who held a 1995 2 pence likely never gave it a second thought. To them, it was just a coin, small, common, forgettable. But to a collector, that very ordinariness is what makes it meaningful. It's a piece of the everyday, a small window into a specific moment in Britain's economic and cultural landscape. Over time, coins like the 1995 2 pence acquire their own subtle characteristics. Slight changes in tone, gentle wear patterns, and unique marks tell individual stories. Each one carries a memory of where it has been, a coin that may have passed through thousands of lives, silently tracing the daily rhythm of a nation. While there are no major known minting errors or varieties tied to this specific year, collectors still prize well-preserved examples. Those that retain their original luster, untouched by circulation, serve as pristine representatives of Britain's mid-1990s minting quality. Such pieces remind us that rarity is not always the measure of importance. Sometimes, preservation itself becomes the treasure. The deeper beauty of the 1995 2 pence lies in its consistency. It reflects a time when design, identity, and value held together in harmony, a coin that didn't need to change to remain significant. It carried forward the same imagery, the same dignity, and the same sense of belonging that the public had come to recognize. By the mid-1990s, British currency was adapting to modern life, but coins like this remained timeless anchors, connecting a changing world to enduring heritage. They were small but dependable, constant reminders of a national story that had no need for spectacle to prove its worth. For numismatists, the 1995 coin stands as a symbol of continuity, not rare, not experimental, but quietly noble. It's a piece that speaks through silence, through repetition, through tradition that refuses to fade. Its history carried not in gold or silver, but in the humble gleam of copper. The 1995 issue proves that beauty in coinage often lies in subtlety. It's not in dramatic redesigns or low mintages. It's in the craft, the balance, the endurance of a design that has stood the test of decades. Today, these coins still circulate, still clink in jars and drawers, often unnoticed. But if one pauses to look closely, the shine, the engraving, the emblem, they'll see that this coin carries far more than just its 2 pence value. It carries the story of Britain's unbroken monetary soul. The 2 pence coin of 1995, like those before it, remains a tribute to consistency, a reflection of how strength doesn't always come from change, but from preserving what's already perfect. And as time moved onward, the next chapter, the 1999 issue, would arrive quietly, continuing that story with the same familiar face and the same unwavering pride, yet subtly echoing the spirit of a new approaching century. The 2 pence of 1999 was not just a coin, it was a continuation of identity. It moved silently through a nation preparing for the 21st century, linking past traditions with modern ambitions. Each piece minted that year became a bridge between eras, old Britain and the new age that was about to dawn. In pockets, wallets, and tills, the 1999 issue looked no different from those before it. And yet, in its unchanging design lay a quiet reassurance. For collectors and everyday citizens alike, it represented something constant in a rapidly changing world. The coin's familiar surface reminded people that some traditions are too precious to alter. By this time, the Royal Mint had perfected its production methods. Every 2 pence coin struck in 1999 displayed sharp detail, even tones, and a balanced sheen that reflected years of refined minting technique. The shift to copper-plated steel had long been completed, giving the coins their resilient reddish color, a subtle symbol of modernity wrapped in tradition. The face of Queen Elizabeth II still adorned the obverse, though her image had long since transcended mere representation. To millions, it was no longer just the portrait of a monarch, it was a portrait of continuity. Through the coin's copper gleam, people could see decades of leadership, grace, and quiet strength that defined her reign. The reverse, equally unchanged, retained its powerful emblem, the badge of the Prince of Wales. The 3 feathers bound by a coronet and ribbon bore the timeless motto Dien, meaning, I serve. Its placement on the 2 pence was deliberate, a reminder that service and loyalty remain at the heart of British tradition. While 1999 brought global excitement, the approach of the millennium, the surge of digital progress, the 2 pence coin stood unmoved, a symbol of calm amid transition. It continued to fulfill its simple purpose while carrying layers of cultural and historical weight. For collectors, the 1999 issue holds special context rather than rarity. It represents the final chapter of the century, a closing note in the long song of 20th century coinage. To own one is to hold the last breath of an era that shaped modern Britain. Though millions were minted, every coin carries its own subtle variations, minute marks, tones, or die details that make each one slightly unique. These nuances are what collectors cherish, knowing that even in uniformity, there is individuality. The 1999 2 pence also reflected how far minting technology had come, since decimalization began in 1971. The smooth, crisp finish and precision of the strike reflected decades of technical mastery by the Royal Mint's craftsmen. Each coin, though small, was a perfect example of the Mint's pursuit of excellence. In daily life, the coin continued to serve the same purpose it always had: simple, reliable, unnoticed. But when viewed through the lens of history, the 1999 issue stands at a threshold, the last of its century, a quiet farewell to the age that gave birth to it. Numismatically, it's a year of sentiment rather than rarity, a piece that captures the emotion of time passing. Collectors understand that while the design remained unchanged, the context gave it new meaning. It became not just currency, but a marker of transition. Even now, holding a 1999 2 pence coin feels like touching the end of an era. Its surface tells no grand story, yet it carries the echo of every year before it. It's the coin that connects a nation's past to its future, a small yet enduring emblem of continuity at the turn of a millennium. The coin's simplicity is its greatest strength. It doesn't boast of value or rarity. It speaks softly through endurance, through familiarity, through timelessness. It tells the story of a country that values stability over spectacle, tradition over trend. As the world stepped into the year 2000, many things changed, technology advanced, designs evolved, and new faces appeared on the world stage. But the 2 pence coin remained, quietly circulating, quietly reminding everyone that some parts of Britain's soul never fade. And with that same unbroken continuity, the 2001 issue would follow, echoing the same proud heritage yet minted in a time of new beginnings, as Britain crossed the threshold into a new century. The year 2001 carried an atmosphere of transition and hope. The world had stepped into a new millennium, and the Royal Mint continued its dedication to blending tradition with technological advancement. The 2 pence coin of this year stood as a testament to that delicate balance. On its obverse, the coin featured the respected portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Ian Rank Broadley. This effigy, introduced in 1998, captured the Queen with remarkable realism and maturity, reflecting her unwavering sense of duty through decades of reign. The portrait faced right, surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth IIDGREG. FD 2001, abbreviating the Latin phrase De Gratia Regina, Fidei Defensor, meaning by the grace of God, Queen. Defender of the faith. These inscriptions had long defined the sovereign's role and faith, linking every coin directly to centuries of British monarchy. Rank Broadley's design marked a subtle yet powerful shift in the way the monarchy was presented on coinage. Unlike the more idealized earlier portraits, this effigy conveyed realism, texture, and life, connecting the British people to a more human image of their queen. On the reverse, the coin retained the timeless design by Christopher Ironside, first introduced in 1971, the badge of the Prince of Wales. At its center stood the elegant plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging through a coronet. Beneath it, the motto ICHDIEN, translating to I serve, reflected centuries of royal symbolism and honor. This phrase, simple yet noble, carried deep historical significance. It represented the humility and duty of the Prince of Wales, a reminder that leadership in Britain was bound by service rather than privilege. By 2001, the composition of the 2 pence coin had been copper-plated steel for nearly a decade. This change, initiated in 1992, was a cost-effective shift from bronze due to rising copper prices, yet it preserved the warm, reddish appearance collectors still admired. The copper plating gave the coin a distinct glow when freshly minted, but over time, these surfaces often darkened and developed a beautiful patina. Each circulated coin carried its own subtle shades and textures, a visible record of the passage of time. The coin's dimensions remained consistent, 25.9 millimeters in diameter and 7.12 grams in weight. This stability in form ensured recognition and compatibility with vending and banking systems throughout the United Kingdom. When struck at the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, the 2001 coins embodied precise craftsmanship. Each die imprint captured the fine details of Ironside's heraldic design and Rank Broadley's portrait with sharp clarity. Though not a rare issue, the 2001 2 pence coin holds collector interest for its clean design and connection to the dawn of a new millennium. Uncirculated specimens, with their mirror-like sheen and crisp strike, remain particularly prized among numismatists. In everyday life, millions of these coins pass through countless hands, in small purchases, change counters, and collections of children discovering the beauty of coinage for the first time. Every mark and scratch told a different story. For many collectors, the charm of the 2001 issue lies not in rarity but in symbolism. It represents a nation steady through change, loyal to its history, yet unafraid of progress. This coin also stood as part of a series that witnessed major social and economic transitions, from pre-decimal currency to a globalized financial age. Through it all, the 2 pence coin remained a reassuring constant. In that small circular design lay layers of meaning, craftsmanship, history, loyalty, and the quiet dignity of a monarch who had come to define an era. Today, collectors value this coin not for its market worth but for its story. It connects generations, those who grew up under the early portrait of Elizabeth II and those who entered adulthood in the digital age. The 2001 British 2 pence coin is more than small change. It is a bridge between centuries, a symbol of endurance in a rapidly changing world. And as we move forward from this moment in time, the next chapter in this copper-tone journey awaits: the 2006 British 2 pence coin, a continuation of heritage with subtle modern distinction. By 2006, the United Kingdom stood firmly in a new century. Technology, society, and communication were evolving rapidly, but the Royal Mint remained devoted to preserving the symbols that define the nation's identity. The 2 pence coin of this year reflected that perfect balance between history and modernity. The familiar reddish tone of the copper-plated steel shimmered under light, a subtle reminder of the country's transition from the bronze coins of earlier decades. Though the composition had changed long ago, the Royal Mint maintained its promise that every coin, no matter the metal, would uphold the dignity of British currency. On the obverse, the refined portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Ian Rank Broadley remained in use. This effigy, introduced at the end of the 1990s, was notable for its depth, realism, and human warmth, an honest portrayal of a monarch who had reigned for more than half a century. The Queen's profile faced right, crowned with the George IV state diadem, as she had been depicted for years. Yet every strike of the die carried a new sense of precision and sharpness that only modern minting technology could achieve. Encircling her likeness were the familiar Latin inscriptions: Elizabeth IIDGREG, FD 2006, standing for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. These words had become more than text. They were the enduring statement of British monarchy, unchanged through centuries. On the reverse, Christopher Ironside's timeless design, the badge of the Prince of Wales, once again took its rightful place. The three ostrich feathers rising through a coronet formed a visual link between monarchy and national service, while beneath them the motto ICHDIEN, or I serve, shone as a quiet oath of loyalty. That same design had survived more than 3 decades without alteration, a remarkable feat in modern numismatics. It stood as proof that true design, when rooted in history and honor, requires no revision. The craftsmanship of the 2006 issue exemplified the Royal Mint's precision. Each die was polished to capture the finest details, from the delicate curve of the feathers to the minute lettering of the motto. Even under magnification, the clarity of the strike reflected near perfection. Though circulation coins were produced in the millions, collectors prized mint condition examples, where the copper surface gleamed like a mirror, unmarred by the friction of daily use. These uncirculated coins became small treasures, tokens of British identity preserved in their purest form. By 2006, the Royal Mint had firmly established its state-of-the-art production facility in Llantrisant, Wales. It was here that centuries of coin-making tradition merged with modern engineering, allowing each 2 pence piece to carry not just a denomination, but a story of skill and national pride. In households across Britain, these coins pass through everyday exchanges in shops, cafes, and pockets, often unnoticed, yet each one linked to generations of design and devotion. Collectors and historians alike viewed the 2006 issue as part of a long continuum, a reassuring reminder that amidst change, some things remained steadfast. The coin's consistent size, at 25.9 millimeters, and its familiar weight of 7.12 grams symbolized that constancy. For young numismatists discovering their first coins in 2006, this small piece of copper-plated steel was a gateway into a world of art, history, and heritage, a quiet teacher of Britain's story in metal form. Even without rare varieties or errors, the coin's beauty lay in its simplicity. It required no extravagance to be admired. Its strength was in its faithfulness to design and tradition. As the global economy grew increasingly digital, the 2 pence coin continued to stand for tangible value, something one could feel, hold, and remember. In that sense, it became a symbol not only of currency but of continuity itself. The 2006 British 2 pence coin remains a tribute to a nation that honors its past while embracing the future. Each small circle of metal is a link between generations, proof that even the humblest of coins can embody the soul of a country. And from this emblem of steadiness and tradition, we journey onward once again, toward the year 2007, when the same coin would continue to serve, yet carry subtle whispers of change in the air. By 2007, the Royal Mint's artistry had achieved an extraordinary level of precision. Every 2 pence coin struck during this period reflected both technological mastery and a commitment to preserving the royal legacy that had defined British coinage for decades. The copper-plated steel composition, now standard for over a decade, maintained its practical beauty. Beneath its warm reddish glow, the coin carried the strength of modern metal while paying homage to the bronze finish of the coins that came before. This fusion of old and new was no accident. The Royal Mint intended it to embody Britain's ability to adapt, honoring tradition while embracing innovation. Each coin became a small reflection of that philosophy. The obverse once again featured Ian Rank Broadley's distinguished portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. In this depiction, the Queen appears serene yet resolute, a monarch whose reign had witnessed half a century of transformation. Around her profile, the familiar inscription, Elizabeth IIDGREG, FD 2007, circled in timeless fashion. These initials, rooted in Latin tradition, connected every coin to the centuries-old institution of monarchy, a reminder that even the smallest denomination carried the sovereign's authority. The portrait itself remained one of the most recognizable in British numismatics. Rank Broadley's realism, his attention to texture and depth, gave the Queen's likeness a sense of human authenticity. It reflected dignity without detachment, a portrait not of power alone, but of continuity. Turning the coin reveals the reverse, Christopher Ironside's revered design of the badge of the Prince of Wales. 3 ostrich feathers rise elegantly from a coronet, accompanied by the motto ICHDIEN, meaning I serve. That phrase, unchanged since the coin's introduction in 1971, still encapsulated the royal spirit of duty. It symbolized humility in service, a value as central to the monarchy as it was to the nation itself. By 2007, this design had become part of British visual memory. Generations had grown up recognizing it instantly, proof of the coin's deep-rooted cultural presence. Few designs have endured so long, so gracefully, without losing relevance. Every detail of the 2007 issue, from the lettering to the feathers, was struck with crisp precision. The Royal Mint's advanced minting process ensured that even mass-circulated coins retained sharpness and symmetry worthy of admiration. When viewed under light, the copper surface shimmered with warmth, though time and circulation often dulled its glow. Each coin that passed from pocket to till gathered faint marks, turning into a silent witness of daily life across Britain. Collectors value this year's issue not for rarity, but for representation. The 2007 coin embodies the final phase of an era, the last calm before significant changes in British coinage design would soon arrive. In many ways, it represents the close of a chapter. Within just a year, the nation would prepare for a radical redesign of its circulating coins, introducing a modern look that reflected a new Britain. Yet in 2007, tradition still ruled the pocket change. This coin, therefore, captures a moment in transition, when the old designs still reigned supreme, carrying with them 4 decades of unbroken familiarity. For those who held a 2007 2 pence coin, there was comfort in its constancy. It was a symbol of identity, of knowing that even as the world shifted around them, the familiar face of Queen Elizabeth II and the proud Welsh feathers remained untouched. The craftsmanship, heritage, and symbolism of this piece all point to one truth. The British 2 pence coin is more than a denomination. It is a reflection of a nation's character, resilient, respectful, and rooted in history. And so, from the legacy of 2007, we turn the page once more, as the story of the British 2 pence continues into new years, where modern artistry would reshape its very surface while keeping its spirit intact.